Right now, there are people friends of mine who wrote this letter, who have seen with their own eyes their teams making moves in just the last few weeks that could replace six-figure SaaS contracts. I'm talking $10,000 plus deals. It's actually happening in the summer of 2026. We talked to a procurement manager at a Fortune 500 company who described a budget negotiation. Usually, the script goes like this. The sales department from a software provider comes in ready to hike prices by 5% a year. They'll tell you, don't complain about the hike, you can't live without this service. Once you're in, you're hooked. Switching to another company would cost you way more than 5%. So, they expect you to just pay that six-figure fee plus a 5% bump every year. But this time, the procurement manager just looked at them and said, we're already talking to OpenAI. Their engineers can use AI bots to perfectly replace your entire system. That SaaS company was absolutely terrified because they knew he wasn't bluffing. So, what happened? They closed the deal, but on what terms? They begged them not to switch, drop the price by 30% off the original rate, and stop the price hikes entirely. That sales manager said they were actually lucky to keep the client at 30% off, but he couldn't guarantee they'd stay next year, because by next year, OpenAI will be even stronger. This is the long tail of SaaS. There are several of these public SaaS companies that focus on outsourcing, and let me tell you, their stocks cratered last week because of this news. Why? Because the emperor's new clothes have been called out. Everyone sees they're not wearing any pants. Companies like Monday.com and Zapier, if you have those stocks, you better think about selling. Same with Asana. Things are looking much worse for them because this is actually happening. The market didn't react on day one, but by day three, once people processed it, the bottom fell out. Investors are panic selling. These companies represent about a third of typical enterprise software spending, and they are highly exposed. Everyone thought their business was safe, but it's over. Look at the data. ServiceNow is in the same boat. Their new ACV growth slowed from 23% to 14%. They announced a 15% layoff to start a structural efficiency plan, and their stock dropped 18%. This was Bloomberg News in October 2026. It's not that SaaS is dead, but what can they do? Companies are building their own solutions with OpenAI. It's a real option now, which creates a massive price war. The scary part is the competitive landscape has fundamentally shifted. AI makes development so easy that building a better version of anything is a breeze. Differentiation is gone. It's been flattened. You can't play the "you can't leave us" card anymore. Legacy vendors can only try to keep clients by slashing prices. There's no special sauce left to sell. Plus, they're getting hit by new players. Sometimes just a college grad starting a company and writing the same code you spent 10 years on in just a day or two. Using AI bots, they have zero overhead and are just eating up market share. When a Fortune 500 client lays off 15% of their staff or cuts 15% of their budget, those AI projects that help them optimize are essentially killing the per-head revenue model these software companies lived on. It used to be, I have X many employees working X many hours, so you pay me X amount. That's over. It's been disrupted. Their only response. Layoffs. It's that simple. They take the money they saved and dump it back into the very AI that's disrupting them. They're basically funding their own demise. But what else can they do? Lay down and die. So, the companies most threatened by AI have become its most aggressive users. Looking back from 2028, this all seems like common sense, but in 2026 it wasn't. Nobody saw it coming. We've seen disruptive deaths before, Kodak, BlackBerry, but nobody linked it to AI like this. By late 2026, the story flipped. These giants couldn't fight it. They couldn't team up. They just had to sprint forward. Even though there was a cliff right in front of them. Stocks dropped 40% to 60%. Boards were screaming for answers. AI removed the technical bottlenecks and the moats, leaving only a price war that killed profits. The only move left was to fire people and sink that money into AI development. Every company in the US and China made the same rational choice: lay people off and buy AI. The result, it was a disaster. Every dollar saved on labor was just another dollar spent on the AI that would cause the next round of layoffs. The software industry was just the opening act. SaaS valuations are bottomless now. Any company with a white-collar structure is starting to copy this logic. It's moved beyond software into every other industry where there's friction, and AI is bringing that friction to zero. By early 2027, tons of people were using AI agents without even knowing they were talking to a bot. It's like how people used to not know what the cloud was while they were scrolling TikTok. It just became a thing that happened. When Qdwin's open-source shopping agent hit, it was the catalyst for AI taking over consumer decisions. Within weeks, every major AI assistant had its own e-commerce agent. These models could run locally on a phone without needing the cloud, which tanked costs. It sent chills down investors' spines. These bots run 24/7 in the background based on user preferences. Consumption isn't a series of human decisions anymore. It's a constant optimized process running in your apps. By March 2027, the average US user was burning 40,000 tokens a day, 10 times more than in late 2026. That knocked down the next domino, the middleman. For years, the economy was built on human limitations, the limits of our time and energy. That's how the rent-seeking layer was born. Finding info took time. Doing things took effort. People would pay a higher price just because they didn't have the patience to look elsewhere. Brand loyalty was everything. I used to just pull into a Shell station because I was used to it, without even checking if the station across the street was cheaper. I doesn't care. Brand loyalty means nothing to a bot. It can calculate everything 24/7. It replaces the need for careful comparison. All that business built on human habits, gone. At first, AI just seemed to lower costs and friction. All those subscriptions people forgot to cancel, or the first month free tricks that relied on people being lazy. I fixed that. It optimized the attention economy. The key metric, lifetime value LTV, tanked because of AI. Consumer AI agents reshaped every transaction. Humans don't have time to check 5 platforms before buying a soda, but bots do. Humans don't have the energy to track flight price changes every hour. But AI does. Travel booking platforms and agencies were the first to fall. By late 2026, AI bots were way faster and cheaper than any agency. Companies like Ctrip and Qunar, done. Bots acted like ants, crawling through every flight, hotel, and ground transport option to optimize for price, points, and even weather. Then there is insurance. In places like the US and Canada, the insurance renewal industry was a huge fat cow ripe for the picking. That industry was built on personal relationships, knowing a guy, having a number in your phone. People were too lazy to shop around. AI agents came in and shattered that 15 to 20% commission margin. Financial advisors, tax accountants, legal consultants, all replaced by AI bots. AI doesn't get annoyed. If a user gives a command, it gets done. All those moats built on relationships and a phone number proved to be incredibly fragile. Once people realized they could save 2,000 with a bot, real estate, insurance, and auto brokers, all gone. When an AI agent can pull decades of transaction records from a database in a second, what's your advantage as a broker? Relationship value is worth zero when AI can save you tens of thousands of dollars on a single deal. What used to cost thousands is now a feature in an app. Most people don't even realize it's a bot. They just think the app is better. AI doesn't get tired or make impulse decisions. It destroyed the moat of habitual middlemen. Then there is the fee-based industries. That 2% credit card fee was a massive target. AI agents automatically found faster, cheaper ways to pay than traditional banks. Most people switched to digital currencies or stablecoins. Settlement became instant and cost pennies instead of dollars. MasterCard, Visa, and UnionPay took a huge hit. By early 2027, their growth slowed way down. MasterCard's stock dropped 9% in a day. Visa fared a bit better because they had invested in stablecoins early, but MasterCard was late to the game. They couldn't take that 2 to 3% cut anymore. American Express was hit the hardest. Their cardholders were the white-collar workers who were now out of a job and had no spending power. Plus, AI-to-AI transactions bypassed the credit card swipe entirely. Stocks for companies like Capital One and Discover cratered. Friction went to zero, and it destroyed their business models. By 2026, people were still talking about the negative impacts of AI as a local story, just software or consulting. They called it growing pains and thought AI would eventually make things better, like Elon Musk said. He promised we'd all be living in a post-scarcity utopia, but it wasn't like that. AI wasn't just eating the leftovers of the economy, it was eating the core. AI started by taking a few jobs, but then it became AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. That meant it could do the job you were retrained for, too. There was no job a bot couldn't do. AI even got to the point of self-management. You could have a company where everyone, from the CEO to the dog at the door, was a bot. So what's left for humans? AI eventually beats humans at almost everything. Sure, it created some new roles, prompt engineers, AI safety researchers, but there are very few of those. Humans are only involved at the very top level now. Like the board members coordinating things, every entry-level and mid-level job was replaced. By October 2026, job openings in the US fell below 5.5 million. The ratio of people to jobs hit 1.7, meaning 1.7 people were fighting for every single paycheck. That was a record high. Job openings for software, finance, and consulting just collapsed. White-collar jobs were in a state of permanent collapse through 2026 and 2027. Only blue-collar work, nurses, trades, construction, stayed somewhat stable. But the scary part is that this wasn't just a cycle. There was no self-correction. It was a bottomless downward spiral. So, what happened to those white-collar workers? They downshifted. They flooded into low-wage gig economy jobs, driving delivery. That massive influx of labor pushed those already low wages even lower. Take a hypothetical guy. In 2025, he's a senior product manager at Salesforce. He wears a suit, has a prestigious title, a 400K, and makes 118K a year. He gets laid off, can't find work for 6 months, and starts driving for Uber. His income drops to 45K, no benefits. And it's not just him, this is happening to hundreds of thousands of people in every city. It led to a massive wage compression and a collapse in consumer spending across the US. Those white-collar workers were too scared to spend. No more traveling, no more organic food. They're all eating at McDonald's now. Their spending power just evaporated. And then they got hit by the second wave, autonomous driving and delivery bots. Even the gig work was gone. There was zero hope left. Everyone was applying for unemployment. First-time jobless claims hit 487K, and most were white-collar. The S&P dropped another 6%. The US economy is built on high earners. The top 10% do 50% of the spending. The top 20% do 65%. They buy the houses, the cars, the private schools, the renovations. Now that they're out of work, it's all over. The entire consumer economy is toast. And that spread to finance. Consumer loans, credit cards, mortgages, everything that was built on top of those earnings collapsed right along with them. April 2027. Everyone remembers what went down after this crash. The old school pros, the guys who saw the playbook during the 2015 energy dip, knew what was coming. By 2027, the loans started defaulting. Every private equity portfolio hit the wall. It started with the big names. Multi-billion-dollar prestige funds started filing for Chapter 11. We are talking $10 billion, $200 million in total deal value. But unfortunately, that was just the tip of the iceberg. See, the whole PA system in the United States was designed after the 2008 crisis to prevent panic selling and bank runs. They built a system that bends but does not break. What that really means is the limited partners are locked in for 7 to 10 years, so nobody can just stage a run on the fund. If we were still using the pre-2008 rules, the whole American banking system would have gone bust way earlier from the AI shock. But because of these lockup periods and insurance money being stuck in the market, you cannot get out even if you want to. You just have to sit there in agony while they restructure, hoping and praying, chanting. It will go back to the way it was. The big shots at Blackstone, KKR, and Apollo keep jumping on Zoom calls, insisting, we have got high-quality permanent capital, we will weather the storm. But is that reality? Can you really chant your way out of this? Hell no. Why? Because the foundation of all private credit and PE, the ultimate collateral for all that leverage, is real money or money-good assets. And right now, the real money is gone. Why? Because that money was built on mortgages. Like I said at the start, it is the mortgages and the high-end insurance. And what makes them high quality? It is the white-collar workers, the techies, the finance bros, the high earners. In United States cities where tech and finance make up over 40% of the economy, their mortgages, their 401ks, and their insurance are the bedrock of the entire system. Now, that bedrock is melting away. Why? Because they are out of a job. Simple as that. Even the Uber backup plan is dead. San Francisco gets hit first, Seattle second, and Austin third. Talk about irony. The hubs of AI and it, Silicon Valley, Seattle, Austin, they are the first ones to go down. They literally engineered their own demise. The collapse starts happening in waves, and there is no stopping it. So now, it is a race against time. The only way out is through the government, feds coordinating the whole thing. Luckily, the United States is pretty advanced. The political system reacts fast. Is this me praising homegrown robots? Look, it is the same thing. Whatever happens in the United States, China is going to clone it anyway. Moving on. The current United States administration is actually pretty sharp. The Trump team is on it. There are some smart people in Congress too. For once, both sides are not fighting. Democrats and Republicans are actually looking at this and pushing something called the Transition Economy Act. The idea is that as we transition from a human economy to an AI economy, we need a legal framework. They are introducing a new tax, an AI compute tax. Since AI is making all the money, they will use deficit spending and fees on AI compute centers to funnel that money back to the laid-off white-collar workers. It is about sharing the wealth. The second bill is the Shared AI Prosperity Act. It sounds great, does it not? But then the real fighting starts. Democracy is always a soap opera. The big AI compute lobbies show up and say, you cannot do this. You will kill economic growth and let China win. You are handing the lead to our competitors. On the other side, people are screaming. If you do not tax them, the American middle class is toast and the economy is over. Meanwhile, on the streets, we have got the Occupy Silicon Valley movement. Remember Occupy Wall Street? The big banks took our money, let us smash their offices. Now, it is tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of angry, unemployed Americans blocking the offices of companies like OpenAI in San Francisco. They are burning down headquarters, weeks of rioting. Everyone supports them. There is nobody the American public hates more right now than the AI elite. It used to be the capitalists, but now these AI compute moguls are the most hated people in the country. The real enemy, though, is time. AI evolves faster than the two parties can argue. By the time the government figures out how to tax it, the AI has already iterated past the point of no return. Basically, the entire human financial system and our entire economy were built on one concept that human knowledge and human intelligence have value. Our whole society is based on that. Now, that is gone. Human intelligence is worthless. It can be replaced cheaply by a bit of electricity. That means every system we have, finance, middlemen, the economic foundation, needs to be completely repriced. Human smarts are not worth anything. Human time is not worth anything. Everything is moving towards zero friction. So we have to rebuild the whole model before it collapses. That is the key takeaway. The economy will eventually find a new equilibrium, but that process cannot be bloody and violent. Smart people need to figure it out before the AI outpaces us. This is the first time in history where the highest productivity does not create actual wealth. It used to be that high efficiency meant more wealth. Now, high efficiency means less wealth because humans are not consuming. Can we build a new framework before time runs out? That is the only question that matters. Human intelligence premiums are narrowing to zero. The positive loop has not started, but the negative feedback is already here. As investors, we are lucky the canary is still alive. You know, the canary in the coal mine. Back in the day, miners took a canary down with them. If it stopped singing and died, it meant there was a gas leak and they had to get out. The canary is still alive means the United States stock market has not fully imploded yet. The biggest financial crisis in history has not fully hit. So we have a little time. Look at your portfolio. If your stocks cannot survive this, dump them, and for your kids. Think about a career path that can actually weather this storm. This article I'm talking about is written by people at the top of the AI field. They see the writing on the wall, and it is already happening in the States. And do not think just because it is happening there, it will not happen here. Once AI robots, especially those with physical bodies, are everywhere, and you cannot tell if the person on the phone is a human or a machine, the economy is going to be unrecognizable. We will find a new balance, but how? I only found out about this stuff 7 days ago myself. I read this on the 22nd, and it was a wake-up call. My advice, just do it. If it is going to go down, let it go down. Do not overthink it. The big guys will deal with the fallout. You still have to use AI though. Why? Because if you do not, someone else will. This evolution has no brakes. So how do you use it? My take, focus on the vice industries, sex, gambling, and drugs. Why? Because those are the only things that will survive the AI scrub. Anything with human friction is dead. But vice has no friction. It is a primal human need. In an age of AI abundance, efficiency is high, but human needs stay the same. That is where the money is. First, it is food and drink restaurants. Then, it is clothes. Then appliances, cars, houses, then jewelry and art. And after that, if we are not at war, it is all virtual vice. I am very bullish on the sex part of that. You guys know me. I am a high drive guy. This article, The 2028 AI Crisis, has been a whirlwind this week. It has already tanked some stocks. Is it good or bad that middlemen are getting cut out? It does not matter. It is like rifles replacing bows or cars replacing horses. It is an unstoppable trend. Everything big, Nvidia, TSMC, is skyrocketing because the demand is massive. But there is a risk. AI currently uses too much power. If someone comes out with a low power chip, the whole thing gets rebuilt again. Anyway, unemployment is coming. It might end up being a world of vice. Sci-fi movies already told us this. Most people will not be happy in the way we are now, but the government will provide the basics so you do not starve. You will not be eating Wagyu beef. That is for the elite. Most people will get nutrition pills, but that is boring, right? You want a steak? No problem. AI puts a headset on you, hooks up the electrodes, and in that world you are a king. That is the drug part of vice. It is a mental addiction. AI creates a reality so perfect. You cannot tell the difference, or you just do not care that it is fake. And the sex part, instant pleasure. AI robots that look and feel better than any human. No bad breath, no drama, just perfection. And gambling, it is the thrill. Finance is just gambling. The markets satisfy that hormonal itch. Is that living in a fantasy? Maybe, but you cannot stop it. I think some groups will choose to opt out. Like the Amish, they will say it is too evil. Maybe my southern sect will decide 1980 was the peak of human civilization. Buy an island and just live like it is 1980. Anyway, I am headed out to sing karaoke with some friends. Catch you later. We might just buy an island and pick a decade, maybe 1980 or 1950, and just use the tech from that era. I loved the world before the iPhone. Nokia was fine. You did not have to stare at a screen all day. You read a newspaper. You had enough info. You lived your life. That was the best time. No GPS, you had to actually know where you were going. I feel like in the future, half the people will live in a cyberpunk nightmare, and the other half will be like us, driving without GPS, reading books, and actually living. That is a real life, not this AI-driven unemployment. I do not envy kids today working 100-hour weeks at big tech companies, making $1 million but graying at 30 and terrified of layoffs. It is not worth it. Anyway, focus on yourself. If everyone learns to value their own life, the country gets better. Do not worry about the global drama. Worry about your relationship with your wife and kids. If you cannot get that right, you will not be happy anywhere. Not in the United States, not in China.